Yo, what up, street gods? There, Cam. All right, the thought. So the difference between good ego, bad ego. So everyone always thinks that all ego is bad, but on the contrary, I think there are levels, right? So I think there's forms of good ego, and there's also forms of bad ego. So what's the difference? So I think with bad ego, it's the ego which prevents you from trying to attempt something super epic and fail. So for example, squats, right? Like everyone's always trying to like, you know, squat more, right? But everyone's always afraid to bail if they can't make it up, right? So not attempting a really high squat because you're afraid that you're gonna bail, to me that's an act of cowardice, and that's bad ego, because that's the type of ego that you're afraid of attempting something that you might be capable of because you're afraid of other people laughing at you or critiquing you or being made a laughingstock or whatever, right? However, on the contrary, the good ego is the type of ego where you use your sense of self as an instrument and you channel that ego to attempt great things. So for example, your ego is a combination of your life experiences, your intelligence, yourself, your soul, your body. And then the question is like, what can your human body, right, this thing, right, like this thing that we got, like what is it capable of? Like my favorite Jay-Z line, right? Conspiracy theorists screaming Illuminati, they can't believe this much skill in the human body, right? So I like the idea that you could use your human body and just kind of see what you could do, right? Like I just did a nano squat. I'll call it a nano squat, right? It's not even a micro squat, it's a nano squat, right? Where I did 6 plates on the squat. And I don't even think I'll call it a squat anymore. It's just a weight bearing exercise. You just kind of get a feel of the weight, right? Because like, why do I need to care to go all the way down? It's not really, it doesn't really matter to me, right? For me, the weightlifting or strength testing is kind of more of a Zen intellectual pursuit where I'm just kind of curious what I could be capable of. And so because of that, it's leveraging your ego in a positive, productive way, right? And I guess my ego is that, like, I'm just kind of curious what I'm capable of. And because I was given the quote-unquote 왕자병 ever since I was a kid, 왕자병, 왕자 means prince, 병 means disease. I have the prince disease. Eric Kim has the prince disease, right? Is that like I was the eldest son of the eldest son of the eldest son, and now my son's gonna be the eldest son of the eldest son of the eldest son. So he's gonna be 왕자암. 왕자 means prince. 공주 means princess. He's gonna be the 왕자암. Am means cancer. So his ego is gonna be out of control. But the nuance is you want to leverage your ego to do more, maybe acts of courage. The problem with the ego is when it becomes foolish. So, you know, and actually it's funny too, because like, let's say with weightlifting, right? Like a lot of guys, they do conventional deadlift, not sumo deadlift, or they don't even use the trap bar because they feel like it's cheating, right? But like, that's kind of a silly way to use your ego, because in terms of the hierarchy, a conventional deadlift is the least efficient, therefore you can't lift as much, right? A sumo deadlift, you have better leverages, so you can actually lift heavier weights. And the trap bar is probably the most supreme in terms of leverages, where you could lift the most. Then after that, trap bar, maybe trap bar, the rack pulls or whatever. So if in fact your ego is all about lifting the maximum amount of weight, you see the maximum amount of weight on the thing, then you wouldn't really be so concerned about doing proper form, right? So anyways, my thoughts with the ego, it's quite a little bit contradictory, I suppose. Even our best friend Friedrich Nietzsche says the ego is a fiction, and that actually might be a factor as well, because like, what is the ego anyways? Ego is a kind of your higher order brain directive to do X, Y, and Z. And I suppose the important thing is, you know, knowing how much control we have to steer things. So for example, my mood, right? I don't really have control over my mood. It's like, if I only slept an hour last night, certainly I'm going to have a very poor mood. And then the mood is simply an offshoot of your body physiological health. If I'm in great physiological health, my mood's going to be fantastic, right? So, you know, I'm a heavy coffee drinker. So if one day I slept 30 minutes and I didn't have any coffee, certainly I might be in the most supremely miserable mood. And that's not like Coco my fault or anything like that. The problem with the ego is, one of Nietzsche's philosophies is they invented the ego and free will in order to punish people, because like, oh, you had the free will to do this or do not do that, but you decided to do that crime and therefore we should punish you. And then it becomes this bastardization of humans' lust for cruelty and revenge, and so we try to figure out ways that people are culpable for X, Y, Z. But I think the differences between human beings is there are certain orders where some people have more self-control, some people have less. I don't think you could ever get 100% full control of yourself, but you know, certainly the more you practice, the better, right? Like, so for example, if you love the prawn, the PR0N, you want to look at the PR0N, no one's at home, right? Your roommates are on the town. It's like, all right, let's do it. You do have the option to open up Google Incognito or not. It's up to you. Or instead, you could be like, okay, maybe instead I'm gonna use my physiological energy to hit the gym, or I don't know, even going to the club. Like, you know, you have the choice, right? And so willpower then is augmented through acts of resistance. It's funny because they even call weightlifting resistance training. And it's true, right? Like trying to lift a heavy weight or unrack a weight or hold the weight. It's resistance and gravity fighting against you and your muscles, right? And so even with the squat, right? Like, I don't think it's even a squat, it's a weight bearing exercise. I'm just like, how much of a heavy weight can I hold on my shoulders? Like, how long can I lift something or even move around? I don't know, right? And then it's like, what's the point of doing it? A, it's kind of a fun mental exercise, and B, I mean, certainly you get stronger, right? Like, I've been doing my nano micro squats and my thighs are out of control. My turbo thighs, my thunder thighs are off the Richter, so it looks like I was doing something well. And people's like, yo, but that's cheating. It's not proper. I'm like, I'm not here to compete. I'm just here to leverage my gym membership so I don't have to buy $5,000 worth of gym equipment in my house. And you know, I like the social aspects of going to the gym and like using the bathroom and stuff like that. So yeah, I think in life, maybe the intelligent way of doing things is to leverage your ego in positive ways and prevent your ego from so for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to try to deadlift 500 pounds but you're afraid you're going to fail, or let's say you want to squat 500 pounds, you're afraid you're going to fail. Your ego sense of fear of failure should not obstruct you from attempting the thing itself. So when your ego makes you a coward or makes you afraid of the judgment of others, ego is bad.